Okay, quick overview of sounds in Unity. To create a simple scene here and drop the rigid first body controller in it because I'm going to also do a collision, and I like the rigid body collisions rather than the normal first person one, which has a different kind of collision. So that's here. Right away in my scene, I only want one audio listener. In we Every scene has to have just one audio listener that's active, and all the audio sources are going to be played in relation to that. So I see a warning down here to audio listeners. So on the main camera, there's an audio listener here, and also on the rigid first body. I don't see it here, but if I look underneath on the main camera there, there's an audio listener there. So I want to make sure I disable. I'm just going to disable the whole main camera. I could just disable the audio listener, but I don't even need this main camera. I could actually delete it because I'm not using it. I'm using this rigid body with the camera attached to that. So now I'll have only one audio listener. Now I need to get some audio sources, but in order to do that, I have to bring in some audio sounds. So I've gone to a website, Free Sounds, logged in, and again I shared this information for you, but you can get your sounds anywhere, and downloaded those. Now to bring them into my game, I can just drag and drop them here, and then it'll import them and create an audio resource here. So here's my audio source, not an audio source, but an audio sound. And so I can bring in each of mine here. So now I've renamed them, but these are my three audio clips that have been imported. You can import waves, MP3s, things like that. There are some audio formats you can't import, so you can check the Unity audio overview on that. But they're here. But these are just the audio clips. I need to play them using an audio source. So what I'm going to do is add that as a component to different objects. So I've got a couple things besides my rigid first body controller here. I've got a big cube here. I'm going to add an audio source component to this so that it plays, there's some sound associated with this. Maybe this is going to be my chicken pen, and so I want some chicken noises from that. So I'm going to go and add component. I'm going to down to audio and choose audio source, and that'll add this. Let me move this over a little bit more so you can see it. Okay, that'll add this audio source, and it wants to know the audio clip, and I can drag and drop an audio clip on here. Similarly, if I have somewhere else here, I can add a component to that. I can also just again go up here and add it same way, audio source. It'll add an audio source. Again, there's no audio clip, so again I can, maybe that'll represent my dog, and that'll be barking over here. Now these are generally 3D sounds, but we have to set them up right to do that. Now for each audio source, there's a number of characteristics you can set here. One is play on wake, and so by default this will play when it starts. Also loop if I want to loop these things. So on both of these audio sources, I'm going to set them to loop. So it'll keep playing again and over. So the chicken noises or dog barking will just keep playing. This is often what you do for background noises or background music, is you want them to play on wake and you want them to loop. But now when I play this, I'm going to run into problems as far as they'll just be playing all over the place. The sounds are playing, and they're playing in both well, everywhere uniformly in my field. If I walk towards the chicken coop, the chickens don't get louder and the dog doesn't get quieter, and that's what I want. So, so I want to set this up so it works that way. And there's one setting in my audio sources here, and that's the spatial blend here. Treats the sound as a 3D source and will blend as you get further away from it. It'll get quieter and stuff. So generally we want to move that all the way up to 1 for both of these audio sources. So switch the spatial blend up to 1. Now if it's background music you want played wherever you go, you don't want that. You can leave that the way it is, set to 0. But again, here I want when I walk next to the chicken coop, I want the chicken noises to get louder, and I don't want to hear the dog. If I turn around and walk over to where the dog is, I want the dog noises, the barking, to get louder and the chicken coop noises to disappear. So that's what you want to set up, is that spatial blend. Okay, let's look at one more sound thing, a sound effect. So if I'm going around and I bump into something or shoot something or jump, I might want to play a sound effect. How do we do that? I'll just show you a real simple way of setting that up. So on my big cube here, I've added a collide script, just a C# script. So here it is, and I've declared a public an audio source, named it sound to play. And then in the on collision enter, I'm doing a debug log just to make sure I'm getting the collision. Again, with some of the first person, the general first person collider, you don't get this, and so I like to check that when I'm first trying to go. And then just use my sound, and then I'm saying play. And this is an audio source. It's not an audio clip. It's an audio source. I'm just telling it to play and collision. Now I should probably be checking if the thing that's doing the colliding is the first person controller and not something else. But right now anything collides with it. If it rounds on the ground, it's going to play this sound. So now in my back here, I've got one audio source, and this is the background sounds of the chickens clipping. I'm going to add another component to this. I'm going to add another audio effect, another audio source here. And for this, I'm going to grab the audio clip that's just, I've got some bells ringing. So these are my bells ringing stuff. Now, what I'm going to do is drag this audio clip onto this sound to play. This is my public variable here, sound to play in my C#, so it knows which of the two audio sources to play here. Now you can find the audio source and stuff like this, but if you have multiple audio sources set up, I keep clicking on things. I just like it easier to say, well, when we collide, we're going to play this sound. It has to be an audio source, not a audio clip. Okay, so now when I run this and then I collide with that, oops, I have it still set to play on start. I should get rid of this. But now when I run into this, I hit the ding sound. So a couple things again with that audio source. You don't want it to play on awake. There. Now another thing is that there's a slight delay in this sound. Often sound effects come that way, so you might have to use a program like we use Audacity, which is a free audio editor where you can cut and paste within sounds and edit it. So you can drop out that initial pause in your sound using that program called Audacity. Okay, that's a quick overview of sounds.